Hello everyone. I would like to go over my thoughts on Maul Shadowlord. When I first heard Maul Shadowlord was coming out, I obviously was very excited. Darth Maul is one of my favorite characters, and to hear that he was going to get his own show was obviously very exciting to me. And to hear that Season 2 was already confirmed even before Season 1 came out was absolutely fantastic to me. I really like it when Star Wars shows gets multiple seasons rather than just one. So I'm really hoping Maul Shadow Lord can be the next Star Wars series with many seasons. And now I want to go over what I think about it being an animation. So hearing that it was going to be in Clone Wars animation was obviously very exciting to me. I absolutely love the Clone Wars animation, and to see this animation look even better for Maul Shadowlord was so exciting to me. I mean, I'm okay with the animation for Star Wars Rebels, how Darth Maul looked in it, but I think seeing him in the Clone Wars and then seeing him in Maul Shadowlord with this animation is just so much easier to enjoy the show, to enjoy the character, and while I do wish Maul would return to live action, his roles in live action is always very minor, and I would really like to see him return to that. I do think he worked either way as a character in animation or live action, but once again, I do hope he returns to live action one day, but I'm really happy to see him back in this amazing looking animation, but sometimes live action would be a good idea too because some people don't want to watch animation. But now I want to discuss my thoughts on Maul's character. So in Star Wars The Clone Wars, Darth Maul to me was always a character, even in Star Wars Rebels, was a character that always knew how to make the show dark. Like, he was always a very good character to make the show not for kids, and I absolutely love that about his character. He often didn't care about how violent he was being. So to hear that Maul Shadow Lord obviously was going to be a show about Darth Maul, it was already a sign that this show was very likely not going to be for kids. There were many moments in Star Wars The Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels where these dark moments are pretty much because of Darth Maul. Darth Maul is in the area when these dark moments happen. So, yeah, I knew Maul Shadow Lord was going to be a dark show, and I was really happy to realize that. And now I want to go over my thoughts about the voice actor, what he said about the show. What he pretty much said about the show is that, or Maul's character in the show was that he was not going to be this misunderstood hero. He was going to be this villain again. And honestly, after thinking about it, I was really happy to hear that too. Because when he's focusing on being a villain like he is supposed to be, once again, he's very dark. So hearing that he's just going to be focusing on being a villain was obviously a really good news for how dark this show can be. And I definitely think that this show can be darker or get darker as the series goes on. But overall, I absolutely loved the show, Maul Shadowlord. I think it was fantastic. I think it was a very good animated show. And like I said, I hope it gets a lot of seasons because I definitely think it can compete with other shows as time goes on and with more seasons. Now, I really want to discuss my wants from the show. So before I watched the show, I had two things I wanted from the show. There was Maul to explore his hate for Sidious, and for him to be powerful, for him to for the show to show his strength. So we've seen Maul, we've seen him explore or to go after Obi-Wan Kenobi because of his hatred for him, but I think it would be really cool to add to the impact of his hatred for Darth Sidious. Darth Sidious was definitely a character that he absolutely hated, and it was obviously something that I wanted to see for him to go after Sidious to be his enemy in the show. But obviously that was something that was very likely going to happen because Obi-Wan isn't in the show, wouldn't obviously be in the show. He's busy on Tatooine defending Luke Skywalker, so it doesn't really make any sense why he would have an appearance. This show was obviously likely going to focus on his hatred for Sidious and obviously his build to power with his crime syndicates. So it was definitely expected, and I'm not surprised that that's what actually happened in the show. But the other thing that I really wanted was Maul to look powerful, Maul to have some wins to make it to really show his strength. I feel like since Clone Wars Season 7, where he had his fight with Ahsoka, people have not been treating him as a powerful character. And after this show, I can say that they definitely did not do that. The Inquisitors should have been an easy target for Maul. Maul should have been able to easily win against them, but instead they made it to where he was in an unstable state and had a problem with his leg. He was having a leg injury, and that was definitely having an effect on him to be able to be in proper combat, his best skills. So it was honestly very disappointing that it did not show how powerful he actually is, and that these Inquisitors, well, it is cool that they were making the Inquisitors look cool. It just sucks that these characters like Ahsoka and Inquisitors are, looking strong by making Maul look weak. And I absolutely did not want to see that in the show, but they did it. I really was hoping that Maul would not look weak in the show. This would be his moment to shine, this moment to really show off how powerful he can be. But instead, once again, it just shows characters defeating him rather than him getting a lot of wins. And obviously the Inquisitors or the Jedi were the main ones Maul could defeat in this show, because obviously a character like Darth Vader or Darth Sidious would obviously be too powerful for Darth Maul. So you would think the Jedi or the Inquisitors would really be able to, or a chance for Maul to show how powerful he is, but of course the show did not really do that. I'm really hoping that Maul Shadow Lord Season 2 actually gives him a moment to shine, really shows off his strength, because I really do not like how weak they can make Darth Maul. He is supposed to be this strong Sith assassin who was very powerful in my eyes and could easily defeat many Jedi members, or unlike the Jedi Council. I think there were only a few Jedi member councils or council members that could actually defeat Maul. So I'm really hoping that Maul Shadow Lord actually gives him this chance to show his power. And now I want to go over my thoughts on the characters in the show. For the most part, I really like the characters. I really liked all the main ones, even though there were times where it did not focus on Maul, it focused on the other main characters of the show. Hopefully Season 2 makes the show more about Darth Maul, but besides that, it was focusing a lot on the other characters instead of Darth Maul, but it definitely showed Maul a lot too. Two Boots was kind of an annoying character at first, with him always wanting to contact the Empire, but it definitely got better when he regretted his mistake. Not surprisingly, because the Empire over here just does not care what they do. But for the most part, like I said, I really liked all the characters, and more importantly, I think I need to talk about Darth Maul. I think Darth Maul in this show, I think he pretty much did just about everything I would expect him to do, or to expect him to be. he definitely, everything he did was totally something I could expect from him. And I definitely really enjoyed how he was in the show. And even when he betrayed Master Daki, I really highly recommend you watch the show if you haven't already. It's obviously expected because Maul cannot work with people. But I definitely enjoyed how he was in the show. And what I also really like is how this show honestly gave me Clone Wars vibes. I feel like this show kind of made me think of Star Wars The Clone Wars, because Star Wars The Clone Wars was always the show that made me feel like besides the main characters, no character is really safe. You know, if you're not a main character, if you are not a character that's meant to be in future stuff, then there is a chance that you might not make it through the show. And that honestly kind of felt similar to Maul Shadowlord, because at first may not seem like that, but as the show went on and it got closer to the end of the season, it really just started feeling like a lot of characters were not safe. It felt like a lot of characters might not make it, and it was honestly disappointing to see some characters go. There were some characters I would have really liked to see in season 2, especially the spy bot. I really liked the spy bot, and it was really sad to see the Maul Mandalorian supporters pretty much be killed off. It really now looks like Maul doesn't have any Mandalorian supporters left, as they were all taken out. So that's definitely disappointing to see. And as I said, I would have really liked to see them in season 2, but obviously that's not going to happen. Very sad to see them go. But like I said, it was really showing how it could be like Star Wars The Clone Wars, with how they were just no character felt safe, and you never know what could happen next. But one thing I've definitely been hearing about the show is how people don't think the moment the show makes sense for what Maul was doing in Star Wars Rebels, how he was going after Obi-Wan Kenobi instead of going after Sidious and the Empire, because Maul Shadowlord definitely showed many moments of Maul being furious at Sidious, which I was really happy to see. I was really happy to see that Maul was really seeing that Sidious was his true enemy, was the reason for so much of his suffering. So a lot of people were probably confused why Maul would go after Obi-Wan instead of the Empire and Sidious in Star Wars Rebels. But honestly, I think it made sense why he went after Obi-Wan instead of Sidious, because Maul even states in Star Wars Rebels that he cannot defeat Vader alone. And if he does not think he can defeat Vader alone, then it's really unlikely he thinks he stands a chance against Vader, the Emperor's, the Empire. He knows that they are way too powerful for him to beat. So that's why he's going after the fight, to go after the person he thinks he can realistically win against. And while that wasn't the case, it still was the obviously more reasonable choice, because Sidious could have done something a whole lot worse to Maul than what Obi-Wan would have done. And obviously Obi-Wan gave him a lot better ending. But like I said, I think it makes sense why Maul went after Obi-Wan instead of Sidious. And I'm pretty sure that Maul Shadowlord is going to show more of why Maul decided to go after Obi-Wan instead of pursue this any longer. I mean, Season 1 already made Maul lose so many of his loyal followers. I mean, if Season 1 made him lose that many followers, imagine what could happen in the future, in future seasons. Sidious and Vader could do something far worse to Maul than that's already happened. So I feel like the next season could easily tell more of why, by the end of the show and by Star Wars Rebels, he decides to go after his old enemy, Obi-Wan Kenobi. But like I said, I really loved Maul Shadowlord. I think it was an amazing show. I cannot wait for Maul Shadowlord Season 2, and I hope you guys are looking forward to for it too. I really hope you guys enjoyed my discussion on Maul Shadowlord, and I hope you guys are hoping for more videos just like this, where I go over more Star Wars shows and movies. Thank you guys so much for watching.